The sterile scent of antiseptic filled the private hospital suite. As Billionaire, Richard Langston walked in, his young daughter Emily clutching his hand. She was smiling, but his mind was elsewhere. Business deals, meetings, numbers. This was supposed to be just another routine checkup. Then the door opened. "Good morning, Mr. Langston," said a calm, warm voice. He looked up and froze. Standing before him, clipboard in hand, was Dr. Maya Thompson, the brilliant black doctor he had once promised to marry, the same woman he'd walked away from years ago without a word. For a long second, no one spoke. Maya's smile didn't falter, but her eyes, those same deep brown eyes he once knew so well, carried the faintest tremor. Emily tilted her head. "Daddy, you look like you've seen a ghost." Richard blinked, forcing a polite smile. "No, sweetheart, just an old friend." But it was much more than that. The tension lingered like static in the air. Maya adjusted her stethoscope, her movements professional but distant. "How have you been, Richard?" she asked softly, her tone neutral. He cleared his throat. "Fine. Busy, as always." "You busy too? Saving lives doesn't leave much time for anything else." She turned her attention to Emily, whose innocence filled the room like sunlight. "So, this must be your little girl." "Yes," Richard said, softening. "Emily's 7. Maya smiled at the child. "Hi, Emily. I'm Dr. Maya. I'll just check your heartbeat." "Okay." Emily nodded shyly as Maya placed the stethoscope against her chest. The doctor's hands were steady, gentle, but Richard could see it, the faint shimmer of emotion she tried to hide. Years ago, those same hands had traced his face as they dreamed of a life together, before his father's pressure, before his cowardice, before he chose wealth and power over love. Now, standing in that cold room, the weight of those choices crushed him. "Everything sounds perfect," Maya said, smiling at Emily. "You're strong and healthy, just like your dad." Emily grinned. "Thank you, Doctor." Maya nodded, then began reviewing the report. Richard tried to focus on the numbers, the charts, but all he could see was her engagement ring finger. "You're still in Boston?" he asked, his voice low. She nodded without looking up. "Moved back 2 years ago. Opened a clinic in the South Side. Affordable care for families who can't pay what your hospitals charge." That stung. He sighed. "I see you're still fighting for people." "I never stopped," she said quietly. "Some of us don't have the luxury to forget where we came from." Her words hit like a punch. The air thickened. Emily, sensing the shift, played with her doll quietly. Then Maya's eyes softened as she glanced at the girl again. "She looks familiar." Richard hesitated. "She takes after her mother." There was silence. Maya gave a faint, distant nod. "Of course," but something flickered across her face. Hurt, confusion, maybe even guilt. Before he could speak, Maya's pager beeped. She excused herself, leaving Richard staring at the door she'd just walked through, heart pounding with regret he couldn't bury anymore. When Maya returned, her face was pale. She looked shaken. "Everything okay?" Richard asked. She hesitated, then handed him a paper. "I was reviewing Emily's medical file, and something doesn't add up." "What do you mean?" She swallowed. "Her blood type, it doesn't match yours or your late wife's." Richard froze. "That's not possible." Maya met his eyes, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's rare. B negative. Only 1 in a few thousand have it. I remember because it's mine too." Silence. For a moment, the world seemed to stop spinning. "What are you saying?" he stammered. Maya exhaled shakily. "Richard, years ago, before you left, I found out I was pregnant. I tried to tell you, but your father's people made sure I couldn't reach you. They sent me away, said it would ruin your image. I lost the baby, at least. That's what they told me." Her voice cracked. "But when I saw her today, something in my heart knew." Richard felt the blood drain from his face. "You're saying Emily is our daughter?" Maya whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. The room spun. He looked at Emily, humming softly as she drew with crayons, unaware her world had just changed forever. He could barely breathe. The guilt, the years, the lies, everything collapsed into that one moment. "I didn't know," he said hoarsely. "God, Maya, I didn't know." "I believe you," she said quietly, "but it doesn't erase what happened." A week later, Richard stood outside Maya's small clinic in the poorer part of town. He'd spent days replaying every word, every missed call, every choice he made that tore their lives apart. Maya opened the door, surprised but calm. Emily was inside, playing with the other kids in the waiting room. "She loves it here," Maya said gently. "Says she wants to be a doctor like me." Richard smiled faintly. "She already has your heart." They stood in silence for a while. "Maya," he said finally, his voice breaking, "I can't change the past. But if you'll let me, I want to be there for both of you. Not as a billionaire, just as a father." Her eyes filled with tears. but there was peace in her smile. Then start by showing up. That's all she ever needed. Emily ran up and grabbed both their hands, beaming. Daddy, Dr. Maya, come play. Maya looked at Richard, a silent truce passing between them. He nodded, and for the first time in years, his heart felt whole. As they knelt beside Emily, laughter filled the clinic, a sound that washed away years of pain. The camera would linger on that moment. 3 hands clasped together, hope reborn in a small room that smelled faintly of medicine and forgiveness. Sometimes life gives us a second chance not to fix what was broken, but to love what remains. Hate divides, but kindness heals. And in the end, love always finds its way home.